Hi, Cadin. Sorry we couldn't be there with everyone today. Of course, Harriet's always on our mind because we've had so many fun times with her. Whether it was our football group, where she quickly learned not to ask questions because Jimbo would send her to Kittery shopping, or times that she would tell Jean and I to might as well go underwater in the pool because I hear it didn't look good anyways, or when she worked all night and said, "Come by for coffee tomorrow, you and Jean." Jean and I would sit and have coffee and eat Danish while Harriet would be melting pectin to make strawberry jam or rolling 200 meatballs. The joy of her life was certainly her children, but she always made time for friends, and we always enjoyed her so much.
Hey, Cadence. I've known Harriet since I was a child. We miss her dearly. Like Eileen says, she's always on our mind and in our hearts. We wish we could be there. Really not, because we're enjoying the great sunshine down here in Florida, as you can see behind us. So don't be angry with us, but it's time to celebrate Harriet's life, and we'll always miss her. Best of luck, and we hope we give you all our love.
We all knew that 10 years ago that we were going to miss her for the rest of our life, and we were right. God bless.
Bye now.
Hi, I just want to share some of the wonderful memories I have of Harriet going back to our childhood, from being a little girl all the way up to being an adult. One of the best times was when we packed our families up for a Macy's Day Parade and went to New York. Then we rented a chalet. We just had a lot of good memories. I miss you, girlfriend. Love you. Thanks for letting me be a part of this.
The things that I like to remember about Harriet are Christmas Eve at her house and all the fun that we had celebrating those holidays at her house, knowing that anytime, anywhere, she was always up for a party as long as she wasn't working, and even if she was working, she might be able to squeeze it in. Her always opening her house to everybody. She hosted more graduation, birthday parties, pool parties, and didn't care who came and how many were there. Her house was open for all to come and have a good time. I remember my dad mercifully harassing her because he accused her of having 3 kidneys, the third one being his. And I just remember having lots of fun with her. If she could have taken credit for inventing the noodle and hanging out in the water at the beach, she would have certainly done that because that was one of her favorite things to do. And of course we all miss her and wish that she was with us, and just remember all the funny things about her, and those are the things that make me smile when I think of Harriet.
One of the things I'll miss most about Mom is whether you're having a bad day or were riding your bike and smashed your head against a tree and it was bleeding profusely, that she would say with compassion and with concern, but the right amount of concern, that everything will be okay, and you knew it would.
So first, I'd just like to thank Manny, Michelle, and the rest of the Cadin family for helping to put this together. I wish I could be there with you guys to catch up and celebrate Harriet's life. I can't believe it's been 10 years already. It seems like just yesterday that Mark and I were getting in trouble for staying up all night, playing video games in the living room, eating all the food in the house. But to be honest, that still happens nowadays, even though there's 1,000 miles apart. But I think everyone there in the room and through video tributes kind of shared some stories about how important Harriet was to them. But for me, it kind of was a constant throughout childhood, growing up, from the baseball field to the soccer field, throughout high school. Who could ever forget all the ski trips? Just really kind of being there for everyone, pulling everybody together to have a good time. And those are things that you'll never forget. For me, I won't. So just kind of wanted to share that, and I wish I was there with you guys and able to celebrate. And for those who I haven't seen in a while, see you soon.
The year after Rob and I got married, we lived in the basement in Ideala Circle while we were house hunting. I commuted into Boston every day. Once a month, I had the special honor of driving into work with my mother. Those were her union days. Her passion for nursing extended far beyond the bedside to her role as a union negotiator. Not many people are aware of this. She loved representing her fellow nurses and fighting for what was right. The year after she died, we had the honor, the Massachusetts Nurses Association dedicated their contract with Tufts Medical, then NEMIC, to my mother with a dedication page on the first page of the contract. So on those mornings into Boston, we talked about everything. My job, her job, what the hospital lawyers were like, the union, the administration. I loved seeing that special side of my mom. My favorite memory, though, and one of her favorite stories, was the time that she told me during a really tense negotiation in a standing room only setting with lawyers from every side, administration, all the nurses. The hospital had outlined several conditions that were necessary in order for them to move forward. And the room was silenced. And my mom, in this room, stood up and informed this entire group with a completely straight face that that was not going to happen. And it would only happen when the moon is in the 7th house and Jupiter aligns with Mars. And she silenced the room again. And she was right. It was not going to happen. And they eventually prevailed. I love you, Mom. I miss you every day. Maybe someday in my career I can quote the 60s. Love you. God bless.
Hi, my name is Jackie, and I am sorry I'm not there today to celebrate Harriet's life, and this is a tribute to her, and she was such a great friend. Miss you terribly. One of the funniest memories I have of Harriet was one night Harriet, Carol McGonigal, and myself decided that we would go and check out our president of the parent council, his new house that he was buying in Hingham. So we drive over to the neighborhood, and we're driving through the neighborhood and looking for the house. Finally, we come to the house. We decide to get out and go check it out and look in the windows. Well, as we're going, all of a sudden we hear somebody coming. So we run back into the car, put our heads down so that nobody can see us, and here I am trying to drive with my head down so you can't see me, laughing hysterically, all of us. I thought we were going to laugh so hard we were going to wet our pants. It was just so funny. So anyways, I have lots of memories, I think, of Harriet. Anyways, miss you. Someday I'll see you. Bye-bye.
I came out to visit in Michigan and spent a long weekend. Number one, Harriet got drunk, which I don't think I had ever seen before. That was pretty funny. And she kept comparing the birdhouse on the tree to the big house that I was living in. And for some reason, she was just pissing her pants, laughing about that all night, which was pretty damn funny. And then going to Kellogg's and getting the pictures on the Frosted Flakes, and that was just a great weekend. I had a lot of fun, and taking her jet skiing, and she was screaming the whole time. And something that I learned from Harriet had advice for everybody, whether they wanted it or not. And one of the things that she always used to say to me that I never listened to, I'm just going to add that, was keep your big fat mouth shut. Yeah, we all know how that worked out. So that's my little tribute. I miss her every day. Okay.
We were in South Boston at Michelle's condo, and we were on the back porch. She was doing something crazy in the kitchen, and we were making fun of her. And I asked you about childbirth, as I had asked my mom and my friends and my doctor. And they all gave me vague answers, but you didn't. You said that childbirth was like a 16-wheel truck hitting you in the gut over and over and over again, and that breathing wouldn't help me, and that I should take drugs, lots of them, and get them fast. And then you laughed and you smiled and you went inside. and left me scared to death to have my son later that summer. But you were the only one that was honest, and I appreciate that, so thank you. Harriet, you are loved and missed, but who you are lives on. An amazing person named Michelle. Thank you, and God bless.
Harriet taught me the right way to order a coffee. Can I get a medium hot, extra light, 3 sweet and low?
Anything else?
That's it.
213, come on up.
I have to say, my favorite memory of Harriet would have to be how much of a Boston person she was. I mean, there was no doubt about where she was from the accent to the outsized personality to telling you how you needed to be set straight, whether you wanted to hear it or not. She was definitely from Boston and from Southie. And I also remember how much of a Red Sox fan she was, and that little TV she had on her kitchen counter. And every time you went into Harriet's house in the summer months, it was tuned to the Red Sox if they were on. And I specifically remember talking to her about a new pitcher the Sox had, John Lester, who had just been diagnosed with cancer, and how she was talking about his treatments and what he would go through and all the kind of stuff she knew about that. And I just thought of her again when Lester won the World Series with the Cubs after having won it with the Red Sox, and thinking how proud Harriet would have been at seeing how far her little Johnny had come.
My favorite Harriet memory is actually one of my earliest childhood memories. I must have been 4 years old. It was long before Michelle, before Jim even. Back when Harriet she must have been still in her teens, and she lived with Grandma at Gaslight Village. My parents actually hired her to babysit me and Tracy. And at the time that she came to babysit us with her boyfriend at the time named Kevin Faircloud, I don't know why I remember that, my parents happened to be renovating the kitchen, and all of the wallpaper had been stripped off of the kitchen walls. And for fun, they had let us draw little flowers and the sun and, cute little kid things on the walls. So I remember Harriet and Kevin came to babysit us one night, and it was a pretty uneventful night until the next morning when I woke up and my dad was beside himself in anger because written in large letters on the kitchen wall was the words, "Santa Claus smokes pot." And I think that was the last time Harriet babysat for us.
Fast forward all these years later, a girl I know buys 44 Tower Ave and eventually does the kitchen over and removes the wallpaper and has to call me up and say, "Hey, can I ask you something?" I'm like, "Yeah, sure, what's going on?" She goes, "What's with the giant pot leaf in the kitchen?" And I said, "Oh my God, I had forgotten all about it." But it made me laugh, and it's a pretty funny story. Like I said, there's so many to pick from, but no, thought I'd tell you guys that one.
A memory of Harriet who will always be Mrs. Cadin to me. The fun times, the endless summer pool parties, the frustrating times of trying to dial home and have it be on pulse, and begging for her to pay for tone 10 cents a month, but she refused to do it. The brutally honest times when I was trained to be a pilot and I wanted to come fly with me, and she said absolutely not. And then furthermore, if I ever hear, "This is your captain speaking, Mike," be off that airplane so fast make your head spin. But my fondest memory is probably sitting at the island in the old kitchen and having her make my favorite tuna fish sandwich. And I got a little bit older and she gave me the recipe and she labeled it happiness. Wash hands thoroughly. Open tuna can with a can opener, not your teeth. Solid advice. Drain tuna well with hands, not a fork. Grind up tuna finely. Add chopped onion, mix with mayo, and enjoy. Bon appetit. Miss you, love you. Cheers.
Hi guys. First, I want to thank all of you for coming today. It really means a lot to my family. I wanted to share a quick story I thought would be lighthearted and funny about my mom. So there was a Christmas early on in my years. My uncle Chip, my dad's twin brother, got us a Nintendo. The whole family enjoyed it. My mom didn't really seem to like it too much, from what I could tell. But anyway, one day I come home from school. Again, I was like 5 or 6, real young. I don't know where my siblings were at the time. And I come home, my mom is sitting on my coffee table, like hunched over, playing Tetris, like absolutely killing it. Getting to a level that today I wouldn't even be able to get to. Just the lines are coming down as fast as they are when you're hitting down on a controller. So she's just killing it, and I'm just like, wow, like you're doing really well. And you know, I'm 5 or 6, so I don't really understand. And you know, it was just goes to show, you know, how she took everything competitively. She loved games. She loved playing with people. In fact, one of the biggest regrets I think all of us would, she would be the one that would make every one of us here delete Words with Friends, because all of us would swear she'd be cheating. So I just wanted to share that quick story with you guys. You know, it's not one I've shared with anyone. But yeah, that was a little glimpse into my mom's life. She definitely practiced to get to that level that she was at Tetris. And yeah, so thanks, guys.
Some of our fondest memories are the time we all spent together up at Sunday River at that wonderful house. And let's see, all you guys went skiing and we all stayed home and played 8 hours worth of hand and foot. And your mother and I made the mother of a meatloaf for everybody for dinner. That was a great place, and your mom was awesome. And let's see, what else? Well,
the fireplace was roaring. The whole 8 hours we played cards.
Yeah.
It was awesome. We just 8 hours of hand and foot. It was incredible.
It was incredible.
We had a blast, a lot of fun, and then we all made the mother meatloaf for everyone coming back from skiing.
Yep. And to this day, we still teach people how to play hand and foot, and actually your mother's name comes up pretty frequently when we talk about how we learned how to play and how much we enjoyed it, and we still do enjoy it.
She was like the founder of Hand and Foot in Weymouth, Massachusetts, which we'll always remember.
Yeah, so anyway, your mother also was a big help to me at a time in my life when I needed someone just like Harriet. So for that, I will be forever grateful. And
I have a lot of great memories of Harriet, but one that stuck with me through the years is from my junior year of high school. My friend and I were out looking for summer jobs, and we stopped by the house. Harriet took one look at us and said, "You're not wearing that to apply for jobs, are you?" In fairness, I was in the midst of a pretty questionable fashion stage of my life, so as I looked down at my finest thrift store finds, she followed it up with, "Nobody will take you seriously if you dress like that." I was thrilled to prove her wrong a week later when Friendly saw past my questionable fashion and did offer me the coveted ice cream girl job, but her words stuck with me. So now whenever I have an important presentation or a big client meeting, I think about that day. I think it's fair to say that Harriet didn't see herself as a fashion expert, and it's more than likely that she was wearing a t-shirt from Cuffy's as she delivered this scathing criticism, but she was adamant about making sure that other people saw what she saw in us. And if I'm being honest, she did really hate the clothes that I was wearing at the time, and she was one of the few people who would call me on it.
So if you know Harriet, you know she was a great storyteller. She was larger than life. She filled up a room. When she had a story to tell, and especially if it was funny, everybody stopped and listened. I'll never forget the funniest story that I ever heard her tell. It was when Aunt Harriet, who Harriet was named after, had called Harriet and said, "I have something for you. I want you to come on down to the house." I think she was down the Cape. And Harriet convinced Maggie to go along with her. So the two of them go down, and the way that Harriet tells it, it's almost like, you know, the fox licking his chops before he goes into the hen house. She was so excited because she knew she was going to get something good from Aunt Harriet. And sure enough, Aunt Harriet comes out and gives her this unbelievable diamond, and said that it was because Harriet had been named after her. She was her namesake, and she wanted her to have it. And then she looks at Maggie and she says, "Oh, Maggie, I have something for you too." And she went back into another room, came back out, and gave Maggie a mirror that had some lights all around it, and a couple of them were broken. But Aunt Harriet said to her, "I know how much you like looking at yourself, and I thought you might like this. The bulbs will be easy enough to fix. Here you go." And Harriet just couldn't get over how funny that was, that she got this huge diamond worth thousands of dollars and Maggie got a broken mirror. And of course I can't tell it nearly as effectively as Harriet did, because you'd be in hysterics if you heard her tell the story.
My favorite memory of Harriet was when she called Eric an idiot. That probably happened in 1997, 98. We were in the kitchen in Weymouth. She was over in the kitchen. I was by the dining room. Eric was getting a drink of water. She called him an idiot. I was friends with the smartest kid in high school, and to hear his mom call him an idiot right in front of you was the best. I was laughing about it then. I'm still laughing about it. That is by far my favorite memory. The most important lesson that I learned from Harriet was how to listen to people. When you were talking to Harriet, you were the most important person in the room, and because of that, you would have these wonderful conversations that were either, really deep or really funny, or back and forth. But obviously, she didn't take herself too seriously, and she opened herself up, and we had these amazing conversations. So my most important lesson was to listen, and my favorite memory was she called Eric an idiot. That was awesome.
I'm Alyssa. I have the pleasure of calling myself Harriet's goddaughter. She was my aunt. Richie was my father. What to say about Harriet? She was amazing and wonderful. She loved to spoil me rotten. We had so much fun. Times down the Cape, going to Canopy Lake every summer. As most of you know, she had an above-ground pool while I was a very young child, and then at some point decided to get an in-ground pool, which she told me, and I believe her, she got for me to have my birthday parties there. So every year, for almost my entire childhood, continuing through high school, I got to have every single one of my birthday parties at her pool. And it was amazing, awesome, and wonderful. And I love her very much, and I miss her very much, and yeah, she was awesome. Aloha.
Oh, how are you? Just tasked with a Harriet memory. I guess for me, it's got to be those darn Christmas Eve parties from back in the day. As a newbie into the ranks of the family, she was the first to reach out with a hug and a warm welcome into what was chaotic, if you will. We were southbound and down here with Claire Marie Gemmel, headed to see Coastal Carolina, but wanted to make sure that we reached out to y'all and we're with you. Our thoughts and prayers on this anniversary.
My family used to live across the street from the Cadins when I was little, and when I was about 2 years old, my brother had left the front door open and I escaped. and my mom, who was very pregnant with my little brother, was frantically running around outside trying to find me, and Harriet came to help her. So Harriet and my incredibly pregnant mom were running up the gigantic Ellis Circle hill trying to locate me because I had made it all the way up to Pine Street. I was walking down the yellow lines. My mom jumped out of her slippers to come and grab me, and she was shaking so badly. Harriet brought her all the way back down, brought her inside, made her a cup of tea, calmed her down, and Michelle came running through the door with her hands behind her back, very excited that she had found her mom a Mother's Day present. Well, Harriet said, "What is it? I'm so excited to see it." And Michelle was carrying it behind her back, walked up. She was probably about 8-ish, I guess, and she pulled out my mom's slippers that she found outside and gave them to Harriet for her Mother's Day present. And my mom was like, "Those are my slippers!" And Harriet looked right at my mom and said, "Not anymore." That's one of my favorite stories.
Here's to pool parties, whirlpools. Don't bite my bum sharks in the pool. Sally's, Castle Island, Kelly's, L Street, Riverside, Canopy Lake, Six Flags, Blizzard of 78, card games, Diet Coke, Dunkin' Donuts, have some coffee with your cream and half. Family, friends, all of them. Here's to Harriet. Cheers.